to No Bunts here on the Athletic Podcast Network. I'm Tas Mellis, and with me here in our Atlanta studio, as always, it's super producer JD.
Hello.
Hey, JD. And as always, my co-host joining me from Taiwan, it's Joel MacMillan. Hey, Joel, it's been so long.
It was good to be back. I would sing Reunited by Peaches and Herb, but I'm more of a baritone. I can't hit those notes, but it's good to see you, my friend.
We'll be talking about people trying to hit notes a little bit later. That's a perfect segue for the anthem singer yesterday at the Home Run Derby. We'll get to that a little bit later. But it is so good to be back, Joel. I need to get to know what happened in the first half of this season because I've been NBAing it hard, and we haven't done a pod since last year. Skeets filled in at the end of the year for me post-injury, so it was good to see you guys doing that. But I just haven't been following the first half hard enough. I'm wearing this Blue Jays jersey because I also haven't worn that in a long time since the Blue Jays have been good since last season. It's been some time.
Yeah, Tas, you want to bring up a sore spot right away. That hurts. that hurts right off the bat.
I did. I had that written down. I knew we needed to talk about that. But let's get to the first half of the season before we get to that home run derby talk. We're going to hand out some awards in the Golden Glizzies. Dogs for everybody, Joel. We've got
dogs for everybody.
We've got great awards to hand out. Honestly, great awards. Because as I talked about with that bummer of a start with the Blue Jays, gosh, nobody wants to talk about that. There are real good things that have happened through the first half. So let's hand out the first award. The best storyline.
Yeah, so the best storyline, no nominees here, just going to get straight into the winners. And the best storyline is, can the Philadelphia Phillies finish the story? There we go. Sorry, I think I missed my cue. Apologies.
No. You don't apologize. This is a live show. Things will happen.
Yes, absolutely. Tas, it's no secret. You know, I think JD knows. And if you follow us on No_Bunts, I'm a very big wrestling fan, unapologetically. And one of the big storylines in wrestling recently was, can Cody Rhodes finish the story? It was almost a 2-year storyline. And ironically, he did finish the story in Philadelphia this WrestleMania. Now, can the Philadelphia Phillies do the same thing? They've been close. They got to the World Series in 2022. They, lost in heartbreaking fashion in the NLCS last year to the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're knocking on the door. This team, I feel, is primed and destined to win this year. I know a lot of people crown Dodgers champions right away after the offseason they had, and I get it. They had a monster offseason on paper. The Dodgers are absolutely loaded, but the Phillies, I still feel, are the team to beat this year. I still think a lot of people overlook them. They just had a series against those Dodgers where they swept them. Now, it should be noted that the Dodgers are extremely banged up right now. They're not at full strength. But I kind of feel if the Phillies are going to do it, they have to do it this year, because I think going forward, the Dodgers are just going to get better, not only this year as they get healthier, but that team is built to win for the next several years. They're going to be very good. So I think for me, the best storyline is, can the Phillies actually do this? They're an exciting team to watch. They're a talented team to watch, extremely balanced. They have to do it. And I want to see them do it this year.
I will say a couple things. First of all, I'm not sold on that WrestleMania, that story being all that good. The way you said that Rhodes line there didn't feel like it was a good one, and I don't want to hear about it. I honestly don't want to go that direction now. And the second thing is, I wonder what the Phillies, they've got an 8.5 game lead here on the Atlanta Braves. Astonishing. Although I will say, the last 2 seasons, the Braves have won the division. The Phillies have gone into the division series and beat the Braves. So maybe this is good for the Braves in a way, because the Braves should make the postseason, although Things are obviously bad offensively. They're starting to get healthy. They should be better, but the Phillies are great. There's no doubt about that, Joel. 8 All-Stars. Rob Thompson, our Canadian manager, doing his thing. Trey Turner starting at this All-Star game. Although maybe it should be Elly De La Cruz starting. De La Cruz is the guy. And that brings us to our next award, actually. It's a perfect segue by me, I should say. Elly De La Cruz has been phenomenal. And this next topic, it's all about him. The most impressive feat goes to Elly De La Cruz for his steal on a throwback to the pitcher, which is just astonishing. He stole a base when a catcher tossed it back to the pitcher. As soon as that catcher let it go, he took off for second base. I've never seen it, Joel. I got to ask you, I know he's done a lot of stealing this year, 46 stolen bases, up 16 on the second place stolen base guy this season. Have you ever seen that? I know it's kind of being specific, but catcher just tossing it back to the pitcher. As soon as he let that go, like Elly does, he just times things so perfectly. Is there a moment that happened, other than, I guess, a pitcher dropping it and kicking it, but actually that kind of thing?
Nothing comes to mind. Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head. Elly De La Cruz is just an electric player. When he I feel like he's kind of must-see TV at this point, whether he's just hitting or on base. He's always doing something, and he's just so ridiculously fast and quick and athletic, and he's so tall and lanky. It's just exciting watching him play. He has superstar written all over him, in my opinion. I can't wait to see what this guy can do in the future. And he's still so young. Clearly, like his best years are ahead of him still, but he's clearly the major piece, I feel, in Cincinnati's rebuild, or what you want to call it. I'm a bit disappointed in the Reds. I thought they would be better than they would. Last year they just missed the playoffs by a couple games, and I had high expectations. But yeah, Elly De La Cruz is just absolutely an electrifying player, and you can kind of see him coming into his own. I feel like he's embracing it too. He's learning Japanese to speak to Ohtani. His communication skills, he's very comfortable being on camera. He's really, I feel, taken being a superstar to heart, and not just on the field but off it as well. And I just, I love the guy. I love watching him play. He's great for the game.
Absolutely. You mentioned being able to speak Japanese. He was great on camera this week when he met his favorite player, Derek Jeter. It was extremely cool to see that when he said, "It's a pleasure to meet you," and shook Jeter's hand. I mean, that could have been my most impressive feat. I got to be honest. I enjoyed that because he was just being so authentic and so himself, and so that was cool. But there's just so many moments. He tagged up on a fly ball from first base. There's a fly ball into right field. He tagged and stole second. That's just what he does. He hit a ball up the middle. You got a double out of it when he shouldn't have. That's what he does over and over and over again. So he just steals so many moments. And we talked about him last year when he was called up. June 6th was his first game. And there was talk that he should make the All-Star game last year. It was obviously everybody's wishful thinking, but it happened this year, his first All-Star game, playing exclusively shortstop this season. So we know who he is. And you're right, the Cincinnati Reds are a little disappointing in that they're sub 500, although they are a plus 38 on their run difference. So hopefully they are better, but they just have too many stories for me to be disappointed with, like the Reese Hines thing.
Yeah.
He just got called up. He banged a homer his first game, banged a homer his second game, and 5 homers in 7 games to start his career. What is that all about?
He won Player of the Week in his first, as a rookie call. He won Player of the Week, and one of the home runs he hit too. I can't remember if it was first or second one, but he absolutely destroyed one of those. I don't know the actual distance, but I don't know how the Reds do it. Every year they're just bringing up these crazy electric players that just, are must-see TV. So, let's hope they can keep it going, because that's going to be a fun team to watch in the future, too.
And we know you're in Taiwan, obviously, but I heard there were some rumors you're coming America bound, and you're bound for Cincinnati as well to take in a game, because I too, I'm here in Atlanta. It's only a 6-hour drive, and I say I want to go to the Great American Ballpark. It's kind of riveting. All these young guys and what they're doing there.
Yeah, coming home this summer, and gonna do Oakland and Cincinnati. So I was just checking it earlier. That'll put me at 20 stadiums total. So I'm on the home stretch after I do these two.
You're going to be a second half Golden Glizzy winner, I think. After you hit 19 and 20, you're finishing, getting Oakland in before they move to Vegas, unfortunately, I guess. But Cincinnati, hasn't been an absolute pleasant surprise. But let's move to the next award, where you will give the most surprising team award.
So the most surprising team award goes to your 2024 Kansas City Royals. The Royals, there we go. There's Bobby Witt. Look at that smile and that gorgeous goatee. Had a great performance in the Derby last night. Yeah, the Kansas City Royals, no one had them on their radar. I don't care what anyone says. They were 56 and 106 last year. They're 52 and 45 right now. They're just 2 games out of the wild card race. I have no idea really how this happened. Bobby Witt Jr., I feel, is kind of single-handedly carrying the offense. He's having an MVP style year. He's definitely going to get some down ballot votes. Right now it's probably looking like Judge, but Bobby Witt has had a sensational season. They've got Salvador Perez. The guy's timeless. He's got a championship with Kansas City from 2015. They're a good young team, but they've had really, really good starting pitching with Brady Singer and Seth Lugo and Cole Ragans. Their bullpen gives me pause, but they did make a trade a couple days ago, and they got Hunter Harvey from the Nationals. He was an ex-first round pick from Baltimore. So this is great. Like, Kansas City's clearly, going to make a move. At least it feels like they're going to make a move, and more moves coming to get into the playoffs. But what a turnaround. When I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop on Kansas City, I feel every year, there's always, 1 or 2 teams that were terrible last year. They look amazing in April and May, and then they come back to earth, in June and July. But the Royals are still there. They're still very much in the mix. It will be interesting to see if they can maintain this momentum. But, they look like a good team. They're a tough out. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs because the AL wildcard picture is pretty crowded at the moment. But, they deserve to be there. They've had a fantastic season so far. Total surprise. Didn't see this coming at all.
I did not either. It was good to see Bobby Witt in his home of Texas yesterday doing his thing. Although I want to stay in the Centrals, because we're just talking Centrals here. The Centrals have been pleasantly surprising. I'm surprised it didn't go to the Cleveland Guardians because of how fantastic they've been. They've got the best record in the friggin' AL, which is shocking, on the 26th highest payroll in MLB, and they have 5 All-Stars, the most in AL. Our Canadian friend Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez doing his thing, David Fry doing his thing, and Stephen Kwan leading baseball with a .352 average, which apparently started because of his pinball fascination as a kid. A good story by Zach Meisel on The Athletic about that. Just his hand-eye coordination, that's where it started. And he's an undersized guy, but he I don't know, he's pinballing instead of hitting balls, I guess.
Yeah. Tas, when was the last time you played pinball?
It's been a while.
Me too.
I can't remember. I literally can't remember.
Yeah, I don't think I can either. I went between the Royals and the Guardians on this. The reason I didn't go Guardians is because I feel the Guardians are always in the mix. They're they've made the playoffs several times the past couple of years. They do have talented players. They are having a fantastic season. I think they are punching a bit above their weight. Their starting pitching is actually really, really, really bad. So when you kind of look at the numbers, like in a more micro level, you're like, ooh, I feel they shouldn't be as good as they are. I don't want to say they're lucky because they clearly have some talented players, but like the Royals 56 and 106 last year, and here they are 7 games above 500. That is very impressive. But yeah, the Guardians are also having a fantastic season.
Yeah, getting back to pinball here for a sec. It's a lot of luck. It's obviously a lot of skill. I think I've played it online is probably the last time I played it. I just never get all lined up at an arcade to play it, really. And I'm just not into it the way I used to be. I just don't want all the noise, the ding dings, the bells. I just don't want it.
Yeah.
I played it like a month ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In a bar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was with him. It was the last time that I impressed my son with a feat of, not strength, but skill.
Uh-huh.
Right. And it will probably be the last time ever that, it was maybe the last thing that he's never seen me do before. And he was just like, this kid's never played pinball, right? So he didn't realize you could like hold the flipper up, hold the ball, and then, strategically aim the ball at the targets. He was like,
yep.
Wait, you can do that? That's pretty smart, Dad. I'm like, yeah, well, when I was your age, I had already played probably 10,000 games of pinball. So, but yeah, pinball holds up. I have to say, it holds up. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, you got to end high. It's a high note. I guess it's the last time you'll ever play.
Retired.
In front of him.
In front of him.
Sure, yeah.
All right. Well, you mentioned pitchers there, Joel, and how the Guardians don't have an all-star pitcher. They are struggling in that regard. So I wanted to talk about the most surprising pitcher, because I was surprised that Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves is this good. So he wins the most surprising pitcher award. Now, he obviously has had a great career, but this could be his first Cy Young Award win. This is possible at 35, his 14th season here. Braves went and got him, traded Vaughn Grissom for him. I just didn't think he could get back to this level, because 2020 he missed that season. Then he had a couple seasons where he didn't play all that much, and then 2023 he was closer to himself. He looked better last year. So that was fantastic, but I just didn't think at 35 we'd get back this guy that arguably could have won a Cy Young. He was he had 6 straight top 5 Cy Young finishes between 2012 and 2017. He's come all the way back. I mean, he literally could get there. And here are some stats from our man Jason Stark. Against teams that are 500 or better, Sale is 5-0 with a 1.27 ERA. Leading the league. Fantastic stuff. And he's 1-2 here in the Cy Young race with Zach Wheeler, who has never won it as well. So a great race, period. I had no idea that Chris Sale would be able to do this. I sort of fallen off the radar for me because it just seemed with the injury and the way those other couple seasons came, I didn't think he'd be this good.
I didn't either. And I hope that he does get that Cy Young Award task, because I feel it would put a nice bow on his career. I mean, I know he's still playing, and even Atlanta signed him, to an extension. But he is I feel like he's always overlooked because he spent so many years with the White Sox and he was just on a lot of bad teams. But when you, like in Chicago, he won a World Series in Boston, but he was just a workhorse when he played for the White Sox. His numbers were crazy good, but he just never got the attention. Of course, he did get Cy Young votes, but I mean, he has been one of the top 5 pitchers, I would say. I don't want to say over the last 10 years, because like you said, he had a couple of years, but yeah, maybe from 2012 to, 2020. I mean, in my opinion, he's easily a top 5, top 10 pitcher. So it's kind of great seeing him have this career renaissance, like you said, after his injury struggles in Boston. And I didn't feel like that was the real Chris Sale. I felt he was better than that. It was just a lot of bad luck and people kind of wrote him off. So it's good to see him have this resurgence. He's, clearly the ace of the staff right now in Atlanta. And yeah, I hope he does get this Cy Young. I did not have this on my bingo card at the beginning of the year, Chris Sale having the year he's had. But good for him. And, I hope his success continues, because he really deserves all the credit he gets, because he didn't get a lot of it when he was a member of the White Sox.
We got a few more awards to hand out before we hand out some some ugly moments from this season in our warm beer segment. We'll talk about the home run derby, but it has been fantastic for Chris Sale for Atlanta as well because of Spencer Strider's injury, which is unfortunate. Although we have another Spencer here in Atlanta now, Spencer Schwellenbach has come up out of nowhere and been really, really good for this team on the hill. So, yeah, the Phillies are good. Yeah, the Phillies are running the NL East. But the Braves will get better on the mound. I mean, they're fine now. Anyways, like I said, 2 division series losses as the home team. They'll be fine going on the road into Philadelphia. I'm looking forward to that, actually, because, yeah, the first game in both those series stunk. So it will be different this time if they do line up. I'm starting to try and make myself feel good. So let's get to the best feel-good moment award, Joel.
So, yeah, the best feel-good moment. Actually, I was responsible for picking this task. We were, deciding who was going to do what. And I went a bit off board with this, and I'm going to go Birmingham Southern qualifies for the Division III World Series after the college was shut down, basically.
Yes.
After spring break, the college announced that they had budgetary issues and that the school was closing. And the baseball team basically went on a heater. They were 13-10 at the time. And they won 17 of their final 21 games. They advanced to the Super Regionals and, just had this crazy Cinderella run. They had a walk-off win against Randolph-Macon. And I'm going to pause. There's so many Division III schools with 2 names. Mm-hmm. I like in research, like in the D1 schools, it's like Auburn. And I know there's but Division III schools, it's just multiple names on all of them. Anyway, I digress. But they had a crazy run, and even the team got food poisoning. 9 of the players were on IVs in the dugout. They still won that game, and unfortunately, they ended up falling just short in the D3 College World Series. They were actually leading, and they blew a lead late. But what an amazing story. It caught the attention not only of baseball fans, but of the mainstream media when I was researching this. NBC, ABC had stories on them. So it was it's unfortunate that the college is shutting down, but, all things considered, I feel like what an amazing story, not only for baseball, but just in that, now defunct school's history. But it was just awesome to see. I remember when that was happening, it was like, it felt like a Hollywood movie. I know that's cliche to say, but I really feel Netflix or someone better jump on this and make a series, because what a cool story.
Yes. And then there was a villain. As you said, the team that they lost to, also a 2-namer, Wisconsin Whitewater.
Wisconsin Whitewater, yeah.
Yeah. They lost 11-10 to them. Like, as you said, they were leading. So that's a great villain. This is a great film. Wisconsin Whitewater. Yes, do it. Somebody's got to make it. I don't see why not.
Well, Tas, we can do No Bunts in the future. We can totally cast. We can cast this movie.
Done and done. Already thinking about it. I'm already making notes. Okay, so
how sure are we that it was food poisoning and not like the Jordan flu or the? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. They were maybe hungover with the IVs in the dugout. Pulling a Lee Ellis.
Ooh, it's possible.
It's possible.
Just
throwing it out there. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Well, I can see.
We live in strange times. Nothing is out of the ordinary anymore. Yes, I feel like we've seen everything.
No, that sounds like it's part of the movie, JD.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to poison that well. It gets to all of us. We all make mistakes. I said Wisconsin Whitewater for some reason the first time. Why would you say that? I don't know. I think I was just in Las Vegas. We were all in Las Vegas for Summer League here. In Vegas, they pronounce Wisconsin. I just made that up. That's not true. All right. Moving on. Let's get to the Rookie of the Year award, because with all apologies to Mason Miller of Oakland, it's got to be Paul Skenes. of Pittsburgh. This guy has been stealing the highlights. Him and his mustache are the story. I think both those guys will win it, but Paul Skenes' story has been incredible. He just grabbed my attention when he started striking people out, throwing so hard. He reeled me in when they beat Los Angeles going up against Shohei Ohtani, and he struck him out with 3 pitches that were 100 miles per hour for the first time in the pitch tracking era. A starting pitcher has logged a strikeout with 3 pitches, all swinging strikes, all 100 miles per hour or faster. Him against Shohei Ohtani. Come on, that's good stuff, even if you're not a stat nerd. Thanks to Sarah for that stat. The next at bat, Ohtani hit a jack-off Skenes, so it was great. On a 100.1 mile per hour fastball, the fastest pitch Ohtani has ever homered off of. But that was fun. Okay, but before that, he was just so great, even in that game where he was just firing at everybody. But his first start on May 11th, when he was brought up, the guy is just struck out everybody. 12K per 9 innings. If he qualified, he would lead the league in Ks per 9 innings. He doesn't qualify. He's second to Garrett Crochet. Actually, he would be second to Garrett Crochet. A great name. First-time All-Star. You know there's 32 first-time All-Stars, Joel? That's a lot.
I was not aware.
Yeah,
I was not aware.
That's a huge number. So Paul Skenes becomes the first rookie to start the All-Star game as the pitcher since 1995. He's the 5th rookie pitcher to start an All-Star game all time, but the first since 1995, Joel. And I could see you thinking about it. I could see you trying to find the name that started in 95.
Was it, okay, Tas, give me a hint. Was it AL or NL?
NL.
95 NL.
I can give you more hints.
You're going to have to give me more hints, Tas, because I'm drawing a blank.
All right. You mentioned earlier, you said Elly De La Cruz is learning Japanese. He could talk to
Hideo Nomo.
Yes. And nice. Very nice call. Very nice call. Before that was 1981. Also an LA reference. I mean,
Fernando Valenzuela.
Wow. Very nice. And before that, I'm not even going to give you clues because it's even before that. It's too long ago. It's way too long ago. But that's a long time, 30 years since a rookie has started as the pitcher in the All-Star game. And this guy just keeps doing it. He already had 2 starts where he had 6 or more no-hit innings. It was 6 and then 7 and 11 Ks. And then they yanked him both times. He had a 6-inning no-hitter going and then a 7-inning no-hitter going. They yanked him. That stinks. Because we wanted to see him finish it, but I guess that's what happens. I mean, he was only at 99 pitches this last one, where it was 7 innings. So that was unfortunate that they yanked him after that. But he really doesn't pitch much more than that. Really, 100, 105 at the most. I do believe. I think it's like 103 actually. When I was doing my stat work, but that is a lot to have 2 starts. 6 or more no-hit innings, 11 Ks. Randy Johnson and Max Scherzer combined for 2 starts in their entire Hall of Fame careers with 0 hits and 11 strikeouts or more. Paul Skenes has 2 of them in his first 11 starts of his career. This guy's a kid. So that's phenomenal stuff.
He's exciting to watch. He's exciting to watch. He just throws gas. It's going to be interesting to see, Tas, like velocity has clearly, yes, dominated the pitching landscape in recent years. Guys are just throwing harder. There's more Tommy John surgeries. It's going to be interesting to see how these pitchers age, because if they have trouble developing off-speed stuff, I don't know how long they're going to last. I feel like Noah Syndergaard is kind of a warning sign. Thor, when he came up, a Blue Jay, we traded him to the Mets, and he was just this overpowering, dominant guy. Not on the level of Skenes, but he threw high 90s and just had even a slider in the 90s. And then he ran into injury issues, and now I don't even think he signed. He basically fell apart really quick. It's very impressive to do, and your body can do that when you're young, but you can't be throwing like that your whole career, and especially into your 30s. So it's going to be interesting to see how he develops. And a lot of these velocity first guys, when their body starts to fail them, can they make that step? Can they transition into, developing some of their secondary pitches? Because obviously right now, Skenes and some of these other high velocity guys, they can get by with that. But what's that going to look like in the future? I don't know. Yeah,
that is a question for everybody watching pitchers who are getting injured as we speak. So there is that side of the spectrum where people are watching right now and wondering if it's just because people are throwing too much gas. We see Spencer Strider here in Atlanta. We see a lot of cases, and it has been researched, and people are trying to understand. And that's why guys like Skenes come out after 100 pitches. They can't fire as many pitches, so that is being regulated, obviously. But it is extremely interesting, and people just wonder, with even hitting gone down this year versus last year, if pitching is just too good. Joel, one thing I want to know, what food is too good, Joel?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Tas. The Golden Glizzy. And I took a long time on this, but the Golden Glizzy for best ballpark food, we're going to Texas. We're going to stay in Texas, and we're going to go the garlic knot meatball sliders.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Look at those.
You haven't had that, though. You haven't had that, though.
This was tough. There were a lot of good choices, but I love me some sliders. And meatballs, come on, you got to twist my rubber arm to have a couple of those. My only knock on this snack and a lot of the other ones I was looking at is ballpark snacks are very creative and delicious, but man, they look extremely difficult to eat. Like, how do you approach that? Like, you're getting messy.
Yeah, for all those who are listening to this podcast, it is a large meatball, but it's in a slightly smaller bun. I mean, it's not a huge bun, but it looks like they stacked 4 sliders in this situation.
Yeah, with
3
a
sliders.
skewer through it. Like, you gotta take it off, and then it just looks a bit complicated. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to be balancing that on my lap task in a seat in the game. Coordination is definitely not my strong suit, so I feel I'd be spilling that everywhere. So I suggest, and let's take a page out of Taiwan and East Asia's book here. They use gloves a lot when they eat. And at first I was like, this is ridiculous. What are they doing? I have totally changed. I use gloves a lot when I eat now. Ribs, burgers, wings. It looks a bit strange, but it makes a huge difference.
Interesting. I do think that those, when dismounted from the presentation, I don't think they'd fall apart. I mean, they are little slider buns with a large meatball given. But I think those buns would soak up that meat sauce. I think they're all right. I don't think they'd fall apart. I don't think it would be that difficult. But you think you need gloves? You need to strap on.
That meatball is slipping out. What are you talking? You gotta be focused, man. That meatball could go any direction. It's covered in Parmesan. It's wet.
Yeah.
It's a wild card. That thing could fall out.
Everything.
It's like a tomato on a burger. Like one bite, that thing's just shooting out the side.
Can you explain me a situation where you're wearing gloves to eat?
Oh, for sure. Ribs, Korean fried chicken, wings, burgers. What else?
Burgers. You need
trying to think of what
gloves
else
to eat a burger.
But now they make these ridiculous, like, and it's even trending here. They make these like triple stacked burgers, and it's just not, it's messy. Yeah. And a lot of stuff just falls out. So yeah, at a lot of restaurants here, they just give you a pair of plastic gloves along with your meal. And I'm all about it now.
I will say we were eating together in Vegas this weekend, and I saw somebody carving up the ham at Andres Jaleo, which is always fantastic. Jose Andres, and just incredible. He's an incredible person, incredible food everywhere. But when I saw that person carving the ham, he was wearing finger condoms or finger cots, like just to cover up the fingertips, just the fingertips. That's all he was wearing, which was
just the tip.
Just the tip. Huh? Multiple times, on multiple fingers.
Did you? I noticed that guy too, but was he wearing them the whole time, or did he roll one of those on each of his digits?
Yeah.
Every time he went
good
back
question.
to the well, because he must have, right? Like, because he can't just. He wasn't there the whole time.
No. And he was using he was using a knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess he was grabbing it with the other side. No, I think he was. Yeah, I agree. I think he was taking them off, and maybe it's easier to take off one of those instead of a glove.
I guess, but it's harder to put them on, like, one at a time,
Yeah, I'd never seen him before.
I like this idea, Joel. I'm into it, especially you said that they provide the gloves, so it's just like...
Yeah.
So everybody just at the table just puts on these gloves. It's...
Yeah, at first I was like, this is really bizarre. And I was like, no. But then, yeah, I got on board. I don't know how else to explain it, but I'm a changed man now. I'm all about gloves and eating.
I hate the waste.
Yeah, that part of it I'm not into.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Yeah, but I understand. Even when Danielle... My partner, who is a chef, she will put gloves on to hack up a chicken. Like, she doesn't want to touch a chicken. I get it.
Sure.
I get it. But I say no. Let me just hack it for you. I don't want those gloves in the garbage. Just because I'm paranoid like that. But I will say, Joel, because you haven't tried these, being in Taiwan and these being in Texas, just to share you a couple streamers here. Hootski says, I bet those are incredible. T-Mac says, they are, LOL. And I guess he's tried them. You already know says, they look amazing, but I have a hard time spending that much money on food or eating that big of a meal at a stadium. I would crush them if they were free, though. So, yeah, I'm sure they're a little pricey. That happens at stadiums, that's for sure. But there you go.
You only live once. Just have those sliders once. That's all it takes.
Thank you for sharing that, Joel. And I want to share something that you did last year for our next Golden Glizzy. You gave an incredible prediction. It's basically 12 months ago when you said that Ohtani would be a bargain at $600 million. So the best prediction award goes to you for July 2023. Ohtani being a bargain at $600 million. He signed for $700 million after the season when he decided to go to Los Angeles, which was a ride to remember. I'm wearing a Toronto jersey. Everybody in Toronto thought that he was coming to Toronto the day of. It was the one fun time on Twitter, because there aren't too many fun times on Twitter anymore. But it wasn't. It was just Robert from Shark Tank who was flying, because they were tracking his flight, and they thought it was Shohei Ohtani coming to Toronto when really it was just Robert Herjavec getting off his jet. But anyway, it was a great call by you, I got to say, because everybody was saying, 500, how much is this guy worth? 500, 550, and 600. You're right. It would be a bargain. Los Angeles thought 700 will be enough, even though they've got this delayed payment. But you did it.
Yeah, Tas, of all the terrible predictions I make, I get it right once in a while. And this was one of those times. Speaking of that, the tracking the jet and everything, I remember we have our group chat, and they were tracking the jet. And also there was this rumor that Kikuchi had rented out part of a Japanese restaurant or whatever.
Yeah, sushi restaurant.
Oh, it's happening. And Tas, I took it hook, line, and sinker. I remember I was headed to Bangkok, I was flying to Bangkok the next morning. I was like, we're gonna get him. I was so stoked.
I love how you always say we. You always say we when we're talking about the Jays.
I'm part of the team.
Okay.
I'm part of the team.
You woke up
the next morning and got the news, and not a great way to wake up. Not a great way to wake up on vacation. But I rallied. I had a great breakfast in Ao Nang in southern Thailand. What can you do? But the crazy thing is that it's rumored that the Giants and the Blue Jays were also willing to meet his price of $700 million. So basically Ohtani said, okay, like I have these suitors, they're willing to pay me what I want, which I'm assuming was $700 million. And, you know, he ended up choosing the Dodgers, which I guess in the end wasn't that much of a surprise. But the reason I bought into it was because so much of the baseball and mainstream media was Toronto's the front runners. He went to Dunedin, like he had meetings with them. Rogers is one of the wealthiest owners. You know, they're a huge communications company in Canada. They clearly had the financial resources to do it. So it sounded like it was a very real possibility. But yeah, you know, going to them for $700 million, I still feel even at that, like it's a discount. He's having a crazy good year. I don't think he's going to win MVP because he's only the DH this year. But, you know, like once he gets healthy and he's able to pitch, I mean, you know, you're going to see the Dodgers kind of in their final form. But yeah, glad I got that prediction right.
I'm sorry it was such a tough day for you. Finding out that he didn't sign with the Toronto Blue Jays for $700 million US, which is a quick billion Canadian. That's a lot of money, obviously, but I feel like he's worth it. And I forced JD to dig up this photo of the Dodgers City Connect. I feel like he's already worth it. They're already making that much money because I love the Dodgers City Connects. I love the tone. Number one, it's like a cream. But then just the little specks on it, you know, it's not over the top. Or maybe I'm just swayed by the batting helmet because it's a matte finish, number one. Number two, it's got that script writing D over the LA. I think the sales of that have made Shohei Ohtani worth it. Now, I don't know how many they've sold, how much money they're making off of it, but those are just nice, period.
I would like to see this in a blue and white lettering. I think that would look crisper. And I mean, like Dodger blue. But yeah, I mean, that's a decent City Connect. I feel overall the City Connects haven't been great this year, but yeah, that looks pretty crisp. I like it.
Yeah. You know, looking at it after a fifth and sixth and seventh look, I'm just swayed by the helmet, I think, more so than because it's pretty low key. But with the Dodgers, I think you can be. And just a quick take, because I know you've been talking about the Blue Jays City Connect, which is supposed to be the Toronto skyline, but it doesn't really look like the Toronto skyline. But I just wanted to get your quick take on it.
There's worse ones. It just seems lazy. Okay. JD Tess, you guys are true Torontonians. I'm not. Does Toronto have an iconic skyline?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
The part,
sure.
the part of it that we all know.
Yeah,
that
the
everybody.
CN Tower is absolutely iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets confused with Seattle every once in a while.
Oh, okay.
Because of the Space Needle, but yeah, I think it is.
Beside the dome.
Beside the dome, especially. I mean, the actual stadium where the Blue Jays play is part of the iconic skyline.
Okay, I would agree. I just feel that, again, like it was a bit lazy. And night mode, like, why do I want jerseys that look like my cell phone? Not feeling the night mode. And also, too, like when they wear these, they don't look good on TV. They look good like in a promotional shoot and everything, but they just don't look good on TV. It's hard to see the lettering. I just don't. And like, we don't wear black. It's just not one of our colors. And I understand the City Connects, like they use different colors for certain teams, but just not feeling this. But it's okay. I don't think I would buy one, but I was a bit disappointed, but I'm not going to say it's terrible.
And JD.
And that also doesn't look like I don't know, I feel like in one of the versions I saw, the variations, that to me looks like the Berlin TV tower. That doesn't look like the CN Tower.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism.
Yeah, we're looking at it on YouTube right now, and I'm with you. It doesn't look exactly like the actual Toronto skyline. Although I will say it does look good in person, I'm told, by our man Alex Quinones, who's worked cameras for the Blue Jays for a long, long time. as you said, maybe it doesn't look good on TV, but maybe it looks better in person. Although it does look extremely digitized. Right? It doesn't look like the actual skyline, and maybe that's the point. It looks like you're playing Tetris or Minecraft or something. Look
yes,
right?
yes.
It doesn't.
And JD, it just looking at this, it just kind of came to my mind when you said sometimes the Toronto skyline gets confused with Seattle one.
Yeah.
Do you remember Frasier? And I think it was like in the opening, they would have a skyline of Seattle, and there would always be like an animation.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that looks like.
Yeah.
That's giving me those vibes.
Great stuff. That's why I needed to ask you. We haven't been around for No Bunts, so I needed to ask you that. Shout out to you. Also, we got to hand out some warm beers. We've given out all the awards. Now some of the moments from this season in Major League Baseball. Yeah, this was questionable whether we would show it like we did like last year.
Why not?
Why not? The first one, Joel, you take her away, please.
So the first warm beer award is the biggest money burner. And for this, went a bit of a surprise, but actually went with the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champions. I know that might sound a bit crazy, but yeah, there we go. We've got Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom. I mean, between those two guys, they're making almost $80 million, which is like at 45% of Texas's overall payroll. And deGrom hasn't even pitched, and Scherzer just came back. So, that's a lot of money, to spend on guys not playing. Texas has had a bit of a World Series hangover. Again, they've been dealing with some injuries as well, most notably with Scherzer and deGrom. But yeah, they're in for it. The AL West, Houston is, after a tough start, they've rebounded. Seattle's, playing very well. And like I alluded to earlier when we were talking about Kansas City, that AL wildcard picture is very, very crowded. So yeah, the Rangers really need to get their act together in the second half. The good news is they're only 5 games out of first place in the AL West. I don't know how many games they're out in the wild card race, but, well within striking distance. But yeah, they've got to get it together in the second half because they've got some ground to make up. I think they have the ability to do it, but they have to get healthy. But yeah, to me, it's the Texas Rangers, the biggest money burner so far.
It's surprising it's 7.5 games that they're out of the wild card spot currently. It felt smaller than that, but there's just a lot of good AL teams. So yeah, that is a good one. I'm surprised you didn't go with your Toronto Blue Jays, but I'll transition to that because the most disappointing player, warm beer, goes to Bichette of the Toronto Blue Jays. He just he doesn't look like himself. Maybe it's this introduction of the City Connects he doesn't like because it looks like he doesn't want to play there. He just doesn't look right. Bichette is so freaking good. He led the league in hits for 2 seasons before last year he got hurt, and now led the league in 2 seasons. For 2 seasons. Okay, that's hard to do. He's just a good hitter. And then all of a sudden, this year he's hitting 222. His slash lines aren't good either. A 275 on base percentage and just 320 slugging. This guy's a 290 career hitter. He's really good. And if you want to, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't know what the answer is. I'm not sure anybody really does. There's been the talk, obviously, of the blow up of Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero and whether the Blue Jays are going to move on from that. So I don't know if that has a part of it, but just reading about him, looking at the stats especially, it's mind-boggling. The fastballs is really the puzzling part because in 2019 he hit 357 against all fastballs. 2020 he hit 351 on fastballs. 2021 310. Next year 309. Next year 328. And this year it's 226. All of a sudden, Jason Stark writing those down. He's hitting 153 versus left-handers, and he hit 321 and slugged 537 versus left-handers the 5 years before that. It's just weird. Very, very weird. I don't know if the injuries have really hung on for the entire offseason, that he just doesn't look right, but he's hitting 115 in the first inning this season. A lot of weird stuff, period. That's just strange.
Tas, call me a calendar because I got days to talk about this. This, before we were talking on the air, we were talking about sleep and Apple Watch, and I got a notification that my BPMs went up 9. It was above normal. I'm going to give you a clue as to why that was. It's just like Bichette is a symptom of just what's wrong with the Jays this year, and their offense is awful. They can't hit. They can't do anything, but specifically with the offense. I hate to say it, but Vladdy and Bo were supposed to be the cornerstones. We're 6 years into this. They're not the guys. We thought they were going to be the guys. They're not the guys. Vladdy and Bo are like the number 3 or 4 guy on a championship team. Like if Vladdy was on if Bo was on the Dodgers, he would be like their 4th or 5th best offensive player. He's not the guy that's going to be carrying the load. I just don't see him as that guy. And when Bo struggles with hitting, he's really bad because he's not a great defender. He's about league average defensively. He really, like, every time he makes a throw to first base, I kind of get a bit nervous. This is what he is, this year. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know if it's an injury. I don't know if it's something mental, but yeah, he just doesn't look like himself. I don't think he's going to be a Blue Jay in the future, whether they trade him or, he signs elsewhere. He's a free agent after next season. I don't see him part of Toronto's future plans. And if I'm being honest, I'm okay with that because he's not, like, to me, he's not a Trey Turner. He's not a guy that you're going to give the big bag to, like a 10 years, $300-400 million deal. I feel that would be very foolish. It'll be curious to see what he gets on the free agent market because, like you said, he's been an elite offensive player, borderline elite offensive player the past several seasons. He's really struggling this year. They're going to hold on to him. I can't see them moving him this year unless they get blown away. And I feel if they moved him too, they would be trading him at his lowest value, his lowest point. Doesn't make sense, especially with Toronto's got such a bad farm system. If they were going to make that move, they'd obviously want to maximize the value. And, trading him this offseason or even this season, doesn't make much sense. But it's weird. It's sad. It's frustrating to see him do this because we're a team that's built to win right now. And Bichette is supposed to be a major part of that, but it's just, for whatever reason, hasn't happened this year.
You mentioned Trey Turner, because I just want to end this on a positive note. I got to stay positive here. It's good to see Trey Turner back to who he was when he signed that monstrous contract, because he wasn't himself for a lot of last season. But he's kicking butt in Philadelphia, 941 OPS. That's great stuff for him to be doing in Philly, and obviously that is the opposite of Toronto, the way they have everything clicking offensively. And, they've also got a lot of big-name players, and they're dealing with a lot of injuries, and they're still rolling. But anyway, I just want to end it on that note. Before we get to the last warm beer, before getting to the home run derby talk, the last warm beer is a Cy Yuk. What do you got, Joel?
So, for our Cy Yuk, maybe it's a bit of a cliche pick, but I'm going to go with Washington Nationals starting pitcher Patrick Corbin. He is just... I don't know what happened to Patrick Corbin. It's really weird. He got totally space jammed after the first year of his deal. He signed with the Nats. I think he signed a 5 or 6 year deal. Won a World Series with them in 2019. Was a huge part of that rotation, and then since then he has just been really bad, and he hasn't gotten better at all. He's last in WHIP. I think he's last in ERA right now. He only has 1 win on the season. And Tas, guess who Corbin's only win is against this year?
The Toronto Blue Jays?
You got it.
Oh,
so that hurts. Yeah. He's broken. But the Nats just continue to just send them out there like, well, we're paying for you. They just, roll him out there. He just eats innings. I can't imagine, like, maybe someone trades for him at the deadline if they just basically need a warm body that can, throw pitches and eat innings. He's probably that guy. But he was good, like for his couple years there in Arizona, his first year in Washington. But yeah, signed that big deal, and after year one, he got progressively worse. And I just want to make this note too. For the old school fans who are like, oh, pitcher wins are still a thing. We still need to value those. Patrick Corbin won 10 games last year, and his ERA was almost 6. So that just kind of goes to show you, pitcher wins. I still don't really, value them as much. But yeah, Corbin, I think he's 1-10 this year. And, but yeah, still goes out there every 5th day. And, God bless us. But yeah, for me, it's Patrick Corbin, the total Cy Yuk.
He is a Cy Yuk. Shout out to Jason Stark for this name, because it's the opposite of Cy Young, which surprisingly he got votes for in 2018 and 2019. As I'm locked in on his page right now, he's 1-9 right now, and he was the leader in losses for the last 3 seasons. If you're into that win-loss kind of thing. Yeah, it was 9 and 16, 6 and 19, then 10 and 15 last year when he had a 5.2 ERA. But even before that, yeah, he was. You said 6, and he was in the 6 world, and he's almost there now, right now. So that's a good one. And they continuously throw him out there, despite not being the same guy as he was in Washington, or at the beginning of his Washington run and Arizona, as you mentioned. All right, before we move on here, Joel, actually, before we get to the home run derby, I got to give myself a warm beer as well, because this spring, knowing that we weren't going to be doing No Bunts every week, I was very excited to join a fantasy baseball league. And our man Cole invited me. I said, yes. He tried to push Bichette on me at the beginning of the season. But since then, I haven't played a week. I haven't played a click. I haven't played it at all. I didn't play. So warm beer goes to me. I said, I'm coming in. I'm excited because we're not going to be doing the baseball podcast. This will keep me entertained. But I'm a disappointment. I'm far worse than Bichette, that's for sure. For literally, I don't know how I'm doing that league. I have no idea. I haven't even looked at it since we got those trade offers. Just haven't done it. So warm beer goes to me, and I apologize to Cole and the league. But I also won't be looking at it for the second half, I don't think.
Do you have a funny team name?
Great question. I think so. I'd like to think that I am funny at times, but I can't promise you that because I can't even tell it to you right this second.
Okay.
But before we go, I will find out, and I will mention it. Thanks for the question. Thanks for asking. But right now, let's get to the home run derby as I check out my fantasy league. Yesterday, Teoscar Hernandez won it all, and that's why I'm wearing this Vladimir Guerrero jersey. I haven't worn it since last year, but to see Vladdy Guerrero wearing the Hernandez jersey yesterday, I had to put on my Guerrero jersey because we're 2 degrees apart. And it was fun to start the whole broadcast. I thought was fun at the beginning. First of all, the hats were great. I'm into the hats, Joel. Just the horizontal stripes behind the team's logo on a white background. They got me. They sucked me in.
They look good. They did. Yeah, I like them.
And the guy introducing the players, Marcelo Hernandez, who's a comedian, he was killing it. He was really good. Here, I'll give you some quotes from Marcelo Hernandez. He said, "Big white guy, first name in English, last name in Spanish. Pete Alonso. His forearms are the size of my back. Adolis Garcia. And if you can say his name, congratulations, you speak English. Gunnar Henderson." Although Gunner's not a common name, but anyway, I thought he was great. And then we had a tough national anthem from Ingrid Andress.
Ooh, yikes.
You know, it was just tough. I just couldn't believe it. When the first note was missed, I thought, okay, maybe that's her style, but that wasn't it. It was just a lot of misses.
Yeah, that started bad and then just got progressively worse. But I posted something on our Instagram and someone commented and said they work in audio. They said they've never done like stadium audio, but they said like something was really fishy. Like they had to have done rehearsals,
right?
Or like they thought maybe like her ear, like they wear an earpiece or whatever. That I don't know helps them keep the rhythm. I have no idea what I'm talking about here.
So
but
they can hear themselves.
Yeah. Thank you, JD. Yeah. And he said like maybe there was a delay or something wrong with that because he's like, yeah, she's been nominated for several Grammys. Like clearly she has singing talent, but he just thought something was amiss with the audio production because he's like, that doesn't add up. Does that make sense, JD?
Oh, 100%. Like, I don't think she could hear herself. I assume that they rehearsed, and the sound can be a little bit different when there's people in the stands as opposed to nobody in the stands. Right. But yeah, I think she couldn't hear herself, or the sound of of her voice coming back at her from within the stadium was throwing her off. But yeah, she was definitely thrown off by something. I think she just probably couldn't hear herself correctly. Yeah. But I've been watching Copa America this last month, and those anthems are, if you've watched them at all, absolute chaos, and the Euros as well, because all they do is they're just pumping in the anthem, like a canned version of the anthem. The stands are singing, everybody in the stands are singing, the players on the field are singing, and they're all out of sync, right? Because the sound, the way sound travels, it's just like, it's complete chaos. It's just like, right. It's like row your boat, but it just like, it just keeps going around and around and around. And then at the final game, they had like actual singers, and this same shit was happening. Like the players on the field were like, 4 seconds behind the people in the stands belting out the tunes. So stadiums are hard, although, but then there's no real excuse. Like, this is a tentpole event. Get your shit together, MLB. Like, you hung her out to dry. She fought through it. She got through it. And now we have a new crown on the worst anthem ever, I think. Other than maybe Roseanne, but,
Honorable mention to Carl Lewis, too.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff. Yeah. Obviously, the ones going around last night were, I can't believe she was trending last night as well. I mean, I guess
Fergie, you mean?
Fergie, yeah, she was trending because of what happened at the NBA All-Star game.
But Fergie was a choice, right? Like they made a choice to do the anthem that way. It wasn't like she was out of tune or anything. She just made a weird choice.
Very good point.
A big swing and a big miss on Fergie's. So I think Fergie should still be up there because what Fergie did was intentional. There's no way that last night's was intentional.
Fantastic point. And I would say, as a singer-songwriter, Ingrid Address probably, I'm assuming, has more of a range than Fergie does. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, you might be right.
Because Ferg doesn't do that in her songs.
Right.
She's just my hump. Like, it's all the same stuff. She's not a singer.
Right.
She's
she is a singer. She's a professional singer.
She's a professional singer, but she's not ranging. But anyway,
I hear what you're saying. Her thing is go ahead, Joe.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say this about Fergie. We've been piling on her a bit, and JD, I agree with all those points. But I saw a clip of Fergie recently where she was doing like cartwheels or flips and singing. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That brings it back a bit for me. If you can do a gosh darn cartwheel or a flip and still hit your note, okay. You botched it at the NBA All-Star game, but if you can do a backflip and kind of sing, that brings it back for me.
She can do that?
Yeah, it was impressive.
That's phenomenal. I mean, I immediately think, is it her actually singing while she's doing a flip?
Well, that's, It's a great question.
The internet, nothing's real.
Yeah.
But,
That's true.
But you never know. Anyways, there's lots of people here on the stream team getting angry.
Good.
Yeah. Some people saying Fergie is definitely a singer. Ever heard of Fergalicious? Yes, of course. Of course I've heard of Fergalicious. But anyway, on to quickly the home run derby, because it was fun to start. And Alec Bohm was booming it. He was so good to start it. It was great to see Bobby Witt Jr. last through the first round, because Russell is throwing it was just not clicking at first. His pitcher was not great at first, but it happened. Adolis Garcia in front of his home field there in Texas hit bombs. Huge one. And somehow Teoscar Hernandez, he finished fourth in the first round, which was enough to get by. He's just lasting out Pete Alonso. And I'll just say something else about the first round. Gunnar Henderson, who was 8th out of the 8 hitters. I mean, he was great before the contest. He had his personalized Scooby-Doo bat because he loves Scooby-Doo. He even did an impression for ESPN, which was really, really good. But he went 8th. And so there was talk. Maybe it's an advantage, how many home runs you have to hit. But literally from the Scooby-Doo performance, the Scooby-Doo impersonation, it was like an hour and 15 minutes, if I'm not wrong, before he hit. That was a long time. Now, he could get warm or whatever, but still. He had the lowest number in the first round, which was, Gunner's still a great hitter, and he was still lining them up. But yeah, it was unfortunate. Only 11 home runs. Anyways, it was Bobby Witt Jr., Jose Ramirez, Teoscar Hernandez, and Alec Bohm in the second round. Hernandez and Bohm went to the swing-off, and then it was Hernandez versus Witt in the final. And it was a great ending, Joel, because Hernandez had 14, and Bobby Witt hit 2 with 2 outs to tie it up, to get within 1. So it was extremely close. He's within 1, and his last swing to tie it was a bomb. Everybody watching it, and it hit the wall. So that was a pretty great ending, and that was fun. It was fun. It was a bit long, I got to say, but a good performance.
Yeah, overall I enjoyed it. I feel with all-star games, NBA, NHL, the 4 major sports, they're constantly tweaking the formats. It's kind of annoying. But in saying that, we watched the Derby last year live, and we were having, and a lot of people complained about this on social media, having a hard time keeping up with the balls being hit. I clearly feel with the production, they heard what the fans said last year, because this was, Taz, I don't know, did you feel it was much easier to watch?
Yeah.
Like, they had that camera from behind it was a great angle where, not panoramic, but you could clearly see, the field, and you could clearly see if it was a home run.
Yep.
It wasn't always like constant camera changes. It was easier to concentrate. I really like that. I think from a production standpoint, they kind of need to keep that going forward.
Absolutely.
I also liked some of the new formats as well, the new rules. I think it just made things go smoother in a way. The pitching coach for Pete Alonso, I know he was an older gentleman. I forget his name. He's apparently a notorious, I shouldn't say notoriously, he's a famously good pitcher for, to do this. But Alonso, because, Alonso's done well several times. He's won a couple of these. He just had a bad first round. I think he had bad pitches. He didn't look to me like he was getting the pitches that he wanted from that pitching coach, who looked pretty elderly, and I'm not diminishing that. I'm not saying they can't do that, but I don't know. I feel Alonso could have did better if he had a better pitcher. Sort of say that.
Dave Joss is his name. He
Thank
didn't.
you.
Yeah, he was his pitcher when he won. I'm assuming here he's bringing him back as his home run derby pitcher. I'm reading this from Sporting News. He's bringing him back. He was with him in 21 and 22. Yeah, and he won in 2021. So, yeah, it was unfortunate.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But overall, it was a great derby. There were no big like for casual fans, I don't feel like there were any big names, but if you're like a baseball fan, I feel this was a good mix of both young guys and some veteran players and just some absolute moonshots too. It's crazy just how far some of those balls went. And some of those guys, it looked like they were just flicking their wrists, like especially Adolis Garcia. He just made it look, and it's not easy to do, of course, but he was just making it look super easy. You know, Jose Ramirez too, switch hitter, was hitting from the left side of the plate last night, hit some absolute bombs. So yeah, I feel like baseball fans, this was a good home run derby in terms of like attracting casuals, maybe not so much. You want to get maybe a Vladdy or an Ohtani or, you know, like another big name like that. But overall, it was a great derby. It was close. We had a swing off, which is very rare. I don't even think we've ever had one of those before. So yeah, I liked it. I hope they can tweak it a bit more. I still think there's maybe some minor things they can do here and there, but I feel they're getting closer to a much entertaining derby than it's been in recent years.
All great points. You know, it kind of sucks that I bring up Ingrid Address's performance to start, because you're right. All the production tweaks were huge. We sat here 12 months ago worried about a couple things. Number one, the camera work and being able to try and just wrap your head around the balls going over the fence or wherever it was going while the hitter was hitting. Because you're right, there was so many switches of cameras last year. Well, this year it was a split screen, and our TVs are just good enough, in the majority of TVs are good enough to see both as large enough images, and so you understand what's going on. You understood what was going on a lot better this year versus last year. That's totally true. That part was good. I did like the flow of the little rule changes within it. It was better, and the swing offs, as you said, in round 2 was cool. It is a little weird that you get that extra pitch if you hit a 425-foot home run. That's kind of weird, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. Because Adolis with Garcia was great, and he hit 425-foot home run, no problem, as you said. His hands were just strong, and Ken Griffey said it while, the only 3-time home run derby winner, said it while he was on the broadcast. He said that guy isn't, he's not all upper body, he's not moving everything. He's just got a quiet swing, and he's just got monstrous forearms / hands, and I guess that's why the introduction said, the introducer of everybody, he said his forearms are the size of my back, and he's monstrous, but he's got so much power. So it is fun to see him, and on his home field, that was pretty cool. And everything looked good. Obviously, that Texas Stadium looks nice when you see the glass, you see all those windows. It did look good. It was much better. It was well produced, far better than last year. I think the problem is the people who are trending. It's unfortunate. It's the singer rather than all these elements that we're talking about here.
Right. Quick question for you guys. What do you think of Michael Buffer? Still, like he did the introduction. Does that still get you excited?
I gotta say no.
Me too. And no disrespect to Michael Buffer. Like I kind of, I get it, but it was just odd. And then, Teoscar, there was this clip of Teoscar like in frame standing next to him and, let's get ready. And Teoscar just deadpan, like no expression, like nothing at all. I don't know. It just seemed weird. I don't know. Michael Buffer at a baseball game. Nah. Not for me.
Yeah, the crossover is a little odd. Seems a little forced. I'm with you.
Yeah, it felt forced.
They're trying something out, so I'm okay with it. He ain't coming back. I feel like that was a one-time thing.
One's good enough for me.
But it was fun to see Teoscar Hernandez, because I've always been a fan. Everybody's everybody who knows him is a fan of him, and I know he's not.
Oh, yeah.
He's not your superstar type of player. This was his first time getting there since he's always asked apparently to get in there. And it was unfortunate when the Blue Jays did trade him. They wanted a reliever a couple of years ago, and here he is now with the Los Angeles Dodgers helping out. And the interesting thing, I heard Vladimir Guerrero say this to ESPN. He said, if he'd come back, Teoscar comes back for his second title next year, I'm in. So that'd be cool to see Vladdy come back as well, and those guys face off. And I know this is sort of like the 3-point contest now in the NBA's All-Star Weekend, in that there isn't a bracket to start. There's a bracket in the second round, but I want to see a bracket here of Teoscar versus Guerrero if that's possible to go heads up. But either way, it was cool to see all 8 guys just fire away, and then the 4 guys went into that bracket, and things just went faster. Which I'm not, and Griffey was saying this on the broadcast. He was saying, we just had to sit there and get tired back in my day. When these guys have a little bit more juice, because the breaks are like, they can call time for a second, and they're all tired. Mm-hmm. Hernandez said he was tired after the whole thing, but I do think it's a balance. Like, it's not like you have to just drag a guy out and keep swinging until you throw the bat into the crowd. Like, it was fine, is all I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. There was balances of the time allotted to each of these players. So all in all, it was a good production.
Yeah. And when, I felt when Vladdy gave Teoscar the home run chain, I kind of felt like that Wolverine meme looking at that photo of Jean Grey. That I kind of had that moment. I'm like, oh, that used to be us, baby. That was hard. But I love Teo, like, just one of the most positive dudes ever. Always smiling, always happy, like always got a smile on his face. So happy to see him win. Happy to see him doing well. He's a major component of that LA offense. That was, that might have been obviously getting Ohtani, but that I feel was kind of one of the low key, under the radar, sneaky steals of the offseason that the Dodgers got, was getting him, because man, he's been worth his weight in gold and then some. So glad to see him win. And interesting note, Tess, I found this hard to believe, Teoscar was the first Dodger to win a home run derby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a little surprised by that as well. It was surprising when they picked him up. It was a January 12th signing. That's a late signing. He comes in. He got that one. I think it was just a 1-year contract for a big jump, but just for 1 year for $23.5 million. I guess because they can pay them more now because of the format or the way that Shohei Ohtani has pushed his
deferred money,
the deferred dollars. That's the statement I'm looking for. Yeah, they pushed the money back for him, because Teoscar deserves all of it. He's great. He's a great teammate, I'm sure, as well. But yeah, that is surprising. They haven't won more. And I will say this as a last note of the home run derby, just because we've missed shows here at the beginning of the season, but people coming at you. So I got to mention it from the stream team. It's our man Hootski said, Joel's just sad it wasn't the Nitro main event after Buffer came out. That's what he wanted.
I know that reference, and Hootski, respect, going way back, playback there.
Yeah. Our friend Mike Bagley said that Buffer's been making the rounds, recently did F1 too. The guy's got to diversify. I mean, if we're talking F1, that's probably a good voice to have to make the announcements.
The voice is good, but like when they're like, let's get ready to rumble, it's to me like that's signifying like a contact sport, like they're gonna fight each other. F1, baseball, I don't know, it just doesn't fit for me.
I hear you. But I had to mention it because he doesn't have to say let's get ready to rumble. He doesn't have to say that. Is that?
But what else would he say? Because that's his famous line.
Yeah, it would be weird if he didn't.
Well, get the more appropriate statement. Does he say let's get
play ball? Like, yeah, but it would be weird. Like, if you have Buffer out there, you trot him out, he's got to say his catchphrase, right? Like, it would be weird. It would be absolutely crazy if he didn't. And I agree with you. I don't think he should have been doing it. But, I guess the question is who would you, like, a famous announcer, like, who's more famous, who's got like a catchphrase, like a crossover?
Yeah, I would say in F1, let's get ready to rumble, I think is better. Cars rumble.
Yeah.
That's fine. That works. Baseball is I know it's just they're not fighting. It doesn't have to be. I mean, they're rumbling. They're ready to battle, but I don't know. It is a little odd.
I think it would be better to have like a Will Ferrell or a Bill Murray out there, hamming it up, and they have a connection to base. Like they've actually, had connection to baseball in the past.
Let's get ready to whack. I mean, I don't know what else he says. I don't. I can't. There's nothing really good.
Yeah.
Let's get ready to swing that wood.
JD, you're right. Just anything else just seems odd.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been to weddings where somebody said that, where the MC will be like, here comes the bride and groom, let's get ready to rumble, which is weird, right? Like, it's just it's a joke, right? But it's still like it's weird.
I like this suggestion from Hootski. Bruce Buffer could have done, it's time, swinging out of the AL. It's
okay,
and swinging out of the NL. It's Teoscar Hernandez. So
sure,
Bruce versus Michael.
One does the AL, one does the NL. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's something there.
Oh, yeah, both together. That's not bad.
Well, earlier in the show, we talked about professional wrestling. Samantha Irvin is a very famous WWE announcer.
Oh, yeah.
She's carved out I don't think she has a catchphrase, but she just has this commanding voice, and it's become very iconic. So, yeah, that's my pick, but I'm obviously a raging, biased wrestling fan, so probably not a good idea to listen to me. Unapologetic, though.
Samantha Irvin. Now you know. Great name drop. And that's it for us, Joel. Our first time back in a while. I'm sure we'll be back in August for sure. Every month or so as the season goes on. I'm sure we'll do more random type of shows as we talked about. Build your perfect player. That kind of thing. Or you're coming here to the U.S. Maybe we do something then.
Oh, in studio. You coming to Atlanta, Joel?
Absolutely, I'll be there for 6 or 7 nights. Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Get the garlic knot meatballs ready. Joel's gonna eat them on.
I'll bring the gloves. I'll bring the plastic gloves.
Not for Tas though. Not for Tas.
I don't need them. No. As for No Dunks, back tomorrow to talk WNBA with the Athletics' Sabrina Merchant. She was on with us last season, I should say, and it was very, very fun. WNBA All-Star Game coming up this Saturday. Looks like a very, 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 very fun one with WNBA players versus the Olympic team. So stay tuned for that. But for now, we will see you next time.